Certainty is one of the strongest forces in the world that we live in. And it's one of the forces that we can use in conjunction with our imagination to help select the realities that we prefer. That helps align our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions to where we want to be, to where we want to go, and who we want to be. And so today we're going to take a look at quantum physics and some of the principles within quantum physics that can help shed light and explain to us how to increase our certainty in the creator and in the reality that we prefer. So one of the first principles that we're going to go over is superposition. And superposition states that all realities exist until observed. And so you can think of yourself such as going through a hotel with an infinite amount of doors. And until you check into a room, that reality is not created. The moment that you step into that room, that reality now exists. And that reality may contain the most wonderful room that you've ever seen. And it might also contain one of the dirtiest, one of the rooms that you don't want to prefer to be in. So every reality exists. Just like a composer looking at a piano and thinking of a million different songs that he might create. But until he creates one of those songs, they all exist within the piano, just waiting to be revealed, waiting to be played, waiting for somebody to observe the song being played. And so that's one of the first principles. The second principle that we're going to be looking at is quantum entanglement. And quantum entanglement states that two particles, once linked, they will instantly respond to each other, even across space. And so the way we can apply this to our own certainty is once we are certain in an outcome, certain in our state of consciousness, we realize that those two ideas and outcomes and consciousness are now linked. And so even if we are doing laundry or dishes or taking a walk, we start to realize and have certainty and faith that our reality is now being created for us, created in our image, in this quantumly entangled reality, where one electron is connected to another electron. And we simply have to have the right vibrational match between our desired reality and who we are on the inside, who we are being. It's in the name, human being. And so if we focus on who we are being and creating a vibrational match to where we want to go, who we want to be, who we are being now, and where we are now, we've now linked those two. And every action that we take in that same frequency will be one step closer. And it's like creating a GPS link, a map to your destination. And that you actually you can't take a wrong turn when you are following the GPS. What does the GPS do? It simply reroutes you to the next best available route to your destination. And you can also think about this as if you were trying to get stronger at the gym. And you have now linked your consciousness to being stronger. And so when you go to the gym, let's say you're trying to get stronger in your chest, and traditionally the bench press is one of the ways to do that. And so you go to the gym and you start to find out a way that you get tested is that every single bench is taken. Or you get up to the bench and you just aren't feeling strong right now. And that's where we push through. That's where we have faith and certainty. We must remain a vibrational match. And so even if all of the benches are taken, you might look and grab some of the dumbbells. You might drop down and do push-ups. One way or another, though, your vibrational match is going to give you the thoughts. It's going to give you the inspiration. It's going to help tune your feelings, your thoughts, and your actions to the consciousness of who you are being. It all lies within one. Another example of this is the plant, we've all seen it before, a plant that is growing in the smallest crevice of concrete in an area with almost no soil. It had no place, no chance to survive. And it gets blown into the tiniest crack of concrete, and within that tiniest crack of concrete was the tiniest speck of soil that was just enough for us to sprout, and it actually starts to thrive. And if any of you guys have been gardening, we've also seen this kind of the other way, in which you get the perfect potting soil and you water it the amount that it needs every day, and you give it the perfect sunlight, and it still hardly even grows. It goes both ways. And one of those plants might have had a huge desire to live, and that no matter where it landed, it was going to end up in a situation, granted, maybe an uncomfortable situation. I'm sure the plant that grew in the concrete, it might have even preferred nice loamy soil with abundant sunlight and just the right amount of water. However, that desire, that certainty that it was going to grow, it didn't matter the situation, and it found a way to grow anyways. It was already linked with growing. And so we can think of that as such as quantum entanglement. And lastly, the observer effect. And reality is altered when we witness a certain reality with intention, with certainty, with faith. And so, despite what it looks like on the outside, we know that we went to the gym to get stronger, and we did. And we start to observe that. We start to feel that in our muscles. We start to create new connections with how we feel. And that drives the next action, in which, if we remain in that vibrational match, it might lead us to consciously know and to follow this is the foods that I need to eat to grow stronger. Okay, this habit is maybe what I want to try next. The thoughts come to us at the right time when we listen to life and we allow life to come to us. And we have certainty that where we are going is where we will be. It simply cannot be any other way. And we can go back to the first principle of superpositioning, that until observed, all realities exist. So there's a reality in which you go to the gym and maybe you get injured. There's a reality in which you go to the gym and every single bench is open. There's another reality in which every single bench is taken. There's a reality in which you felt great and you were able to push through and actually turn what you thought was going to be a bad workout into the best workout. And so sometimes it's not necessarily about the circumstances that we're dealt. It's about our faithfulness to ourselves, our certainty in our consciousness, and that ability to affect our reality in the way that we prefer. And each step along the way, we are aligning our feelings, we are aligning our thoughts, we are aligning our actions to be in a vibrational match of the energy and the consciousness of certainty of our goals. And so lastly, I'll leave you with this one, is anytime in our reality, anytime we are going through a hard time, a challenging time, this is a time in which we can double down on our certainty. We can double down on our faith that the outcome that we desire also desires us, that we need to create a vibrational match between the two. And this is applying the 3 laws of quantum physics, the 3 principles of quantum physics that we just discussed. There are more, but these are the ones we are discussing in this video. And we can start to create a vibrational match. We can start to only observe the reality in which we prefer. And realities don't exist until we observe them. So if we never give any energy to doubts, if we never give any energy to any of these other outcomes, no matter the circumstances, then we can only get the outcome that in which benefits us. This is a principle of quantum physics. And so this is part of the reason why certainty is so strong, is because we start to drown out every other outcome. But when we remain in a lower vibration and we have these lower emotions and these doubtful thoughts, all of a sudden it's like our energy is scattered. We're starting to observe 10 different outcomes, 20 different outcomes, 100 different outcomes, which might all be negative. And yet we're trying to say, yet I want to focus on this one. Instead of wanting to focus on an outcome, let's have certainty and faith in that outcome. And let's only observe that outcome, despite all of the outside noise, despite everything that might be going off, that might be trying to distract us. If within we can stay focused on the outcome that in which we prefer, we know that every step we take, we're taking the step of least resistance towards our goal. It's like when a water is dripping down and it wants to get to the lowest possible spot. But sometimes that might mean it has to go through a crack, through a crevice. It might have to remain stagnant in a pool. But eventually it gets to that lowest possible spot in which it wants to rest. And it wants to flow to that spot in the quickest way possible. And that is similar to what we want to do. We want to have such a focus on the outcome and that we can see it in our mind, and we start to create the senses within instead of waiting for the world to give us all these senses in which we think it's what we want. We can start creating those senses within, and along the lines of the Hermetic principle, as within, so without. As we create it within us, we are training ourselves to be a vibrational match for the experiences in which we can now root, because we have the vibration and the consciousness to now embody those situations. Whereas when our consciousness is at a lower level, it would actually be detrimental if we got everything that we wanted, because we would find a way to either harm ourselves, to harm others, to not be grateful for it, to constantly be in a pursuit of wanting more. A hole on the inside can only be fixed on the inside. Nothing on the outside is necessarily going to fix us or going to fill that hole until we fill it ourselves, until we observe that hole being filled. And as we start to fill all of these metaphorical holes within us, we start to realize that we're already whole. That there is no hole, that we're constantly being provided the materials, that the whole was just an illusion, that every material that we needed to fill every single hole already existed, was already within us. And so now we can start to look at the world as a play in which we decide what note we are going to play next, what song we are going to create. And even quantum physics supports and sheds light on how this etheric energy flows in and out of our body, in and out of our reality, and in and out of the moment in which we're in. And so when we are present, we can start to train our minds, we can start to train our certainty on the outcome that we prefer. And if we can remain in that vibrational match, certainly we will start drawing upon this energy. We will start creating and observing the realities. We will start linking energies. And we're working with quantum physics. We're working with certainty. And our lives start to change. And this is how we create any change.